Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I am your host, Brian Walker, and my co host, as usual, is Kim. And today we have Joe Schindler and Jeff Rudnick with us, and part of our series on customer retention. And today we're going to be talking all about customer loyalty programs. Before we get too far into that, I want to thank our sponsors, RepairPal, for providing this episode. RepairPal's certified network of shops are trusted by millions of customers each month. Learn more at repairpal.com/shops. Well, hey, everyone. How are y'all?
Hello there. Thanks for
Hello.
having me.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, we are excited to have y'all today.
These two
Hi,
guys
Joe.
always have a
Hey,
lot
Jeff.
to say, and we just said that, hey, y'all, and they both got quiet. I'm like,
We're going to hit our stride.
So Jeff is actually coming to us from Hawaii today.
I am, and I was a little embarrassed when we first came on because there's no way to get any kind of a background on this particular stream. So you get to see my part-time home when I'm here in Hawaii.
dude, we are jealous. Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's a nice place to be, and I'm staring at all the cleaning that I need to do.
What you did say that you just had a slight earthquake over there, so you get a little bit of a pass there.
It actually was a few weeks ago. I just haven't straightened the pictures yet.
Nobody knew that. You didn't have to say that. You'd be like, it just happened 5 minutes ago. It's all good. Hey, you just said right outside your window is the ocean, and right outside my window
Right out
is
there.
trees.
Yeah, right out there.
Yeah, so love it.
Well, y'all, we're here today to talk about customer loyalty, and of course, who better to have on to talk about like loyalty programs than Jeff Rudnick from Pit Crew Marketing.
Thank you.
And Joe Schindler is one of his clients and is using the customer loyalty program. So we'll be able to have the inputs of a shop owner who is currently using this program. So I'm looking forward to this. Kim, I'm gonna let you kind of take the lead on this, if you would.
Oh, now he tells me. All right. Well, we love having you guys on, and in particular, so Jeff and I spent some time at the Mars conference with the Institute earlier this year, and really, actually, we didn't get to spend a lot of time. We had to connect afterwards and have an actual meeting where we could focus and really talk because the conference was so busy. But Joe is a common client, so it's a win-win because Joe's one of our clients, but also one of Jeff's clients. So we're going to unpack customer loyalty and retention here. I believe this will be the last episode in our series of customer loyalty and retention.
Maybe. I have an idea.
Oh,
but we'll
okay.
see.
Well, y'all,
Shocking.
I don't know this guy. We don't ever get to see each other or talk. So, I don't know what to tell you about that. I didn't know that he had that curveball. We'll see. There's no telling what may need to call our EOS integrator in, because who knows what this squirrel is. But
you're deviating from your rocks.
Yeah, he's gotten very good at it. But this may sound silly, but I want to define loyalty first. Like I want to start off by having a conversation with just what does it mean to you? How do you define customer loyalty? We'll go with Joe, and then we'll go with Jeff. But also, how do we measure loyalty? Everybody wants to talk about marketing, and one of the main questions is always, well, how do I measure that? What's the metric? But what is loyalty, and how do you measure it, Joe?
To me, loyalty was basically when I took over the company for my dad, that the customers came back to us because we had built the trust with them. Basically, what you all talk about is the know, like, trust. People had known us for years. They felt like they could trust us. And something my dad always had whenever he tells me stories was whenever he took it over from his brother, was a lot of people were kind of iffy how things were going to go, even though he had been there for 10 years with him working side by side when he took over, where I kind of stepped in and 2 to 3 years was taking over the company. So it was kind of the same thing. Was will people come back to us because they know my dad, they know my uncle, but do they really know me? And building that trust with them. To me, loyalty is the trust you gain with them from doing the right thing and taking care of them when you need to. Uh, and things over the years, one of the things that I thought I had to do was discounts. And that I learned in the past few years, I don't need to do discounts. It's not something that needs to be done. And when I was looking for things to do to make the customer experience better, I was so scared because I was like, if I take this discount away, will I lose customers? So that was part of me learning what loyalty was, because were they there because I do a great job and take care of my customers, or were they there because I gave them a discount?
Yeah, that's a great point. Jeff, what do you want to add to that?
I agree with everything that he's saying. It always starts with trust. And years ago, I kind of tried to define this, right? Because I'm a salesman, so I'm almost always trying to talk in these little sound bites, and where people can absolutely understand what I'm saying really quickly. And we kind of came up with, in the automotive industry, you want to get to a point where the consumer gives you complete psychological control of the vehicle because they trust you and you're doing the right thing. So but you have to earn that. And a key step I see a lot of people missing is you have to know the customer's intent with that vehicle. So very often we're talking to a consumer about maintaining a vehicle in a certain way, and that might be a leased vehicle from their company that they're just going to get the oil changes done, they're turning it in, or it might be a dump run vehicle. They're not going to treat it a certain way. But when you can get to know your customer and earn that trust, and when you tell them what needs to be done, that they say yes. And a good way to measure that, and I learned this from Rex Sarson with Stop and Go Auto in Burlington, Oakville, Ontario. He said, if you have to send out a lot of declined service reminders, you aren't actually communicating properly with your customers, or you're not attracting the right customers, or they're not loyal. You're just not communicating properly. If you have the trust and you have the right customer, they should say yes to you for the things that need to be done. And if there's a big discrepancy there, then there's a problem.
Yeah, we were just talking with Greg Rainville and Chris Enright recently, and in one of Chris's recent videos on TikTok or wherever it was, well, I didn't see it on TikTok because I don't have TikTok, but I saw it somewhere, probably Instagram. And he was talking about using his CRM that pointed out to him when he dug into the numbers that he knew how many new clients he was getting, but he saw that he had a pretty serious reduction in return clients. So when I think of return, I think of loyalty, I'm looking at, are they coming back? But also do they have my back? I've got theirs. What's the relationship like? And I feel like that defines loyalty. I was just on a phone call less than an hour ago with a client of ours who's also a very dear friend of mine, who last Monday, Brian doesn't even know about this because we don't ever talk. I don't ever see him. We just met. They just last Monday, their phone system and their internet went down, and they have not been able to get it fixed, figure out what's going on. And then she got a phone call. It went to voicemail, and it was someone pretending to be her shop, asking about their service and how it was. And she was like, what? She freaked out. Come to find out, their business is being, it's part of a broadband theft ring that's happening, and they can't access their own internet and phone systems. And then both shop owners are currently under identity theft. And so she was freaking out about, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle this? And it turned to a customer loyalty conversation of your customers are going to have your back. Like, be open and honest and talk about what's going on. So I love that we're defining what is it, because we think about we're gaining their trust and getting them back, but it's bigger, it's deeper than that. It's about the relationship.
And you earn the right to make a mistake, by being trustworthy and owning. It's just like life. If you admit to your mistakes and own up to it and take responsibility, the customers actually respect that. And that was another thing I learned way back when I was in photocopier sales, believe it or not, right out of college, my very first year. And they taught us that making a mistake with a client is your greatest opportunity, because it gives you a chance to own it and fix it. And I bet you if we all racked our brains, we can remember several of these things that we've done in our own businesses, where we were surprised at the client reaction in a positive way.
Yeah.
I love what you just said there, because I hear I hear all kinds of things when we talk about loyalty, but I think that's the first time that I've heard anyone say that you earn the right to be able to make a mistake. And it's funny because Kim likes to give me a hard time about, if we go to a restaurant for the first time and we have a bad experience, that like I'll never go back. But once someone has earned that trust, that loyalty, with me, then if we go and we have one bad experience, then I'm going to go back again, because I know that that's not the norm. That's just
Yeah.
a fluke thing that happened. And to be able to have those kind of relationships with people, I think we all, like every shop needs to build that, to where they earn that right to be able to make a mistake. Because I don't care, how good you are, every once in a while, there's going to be a mistake.
Well,
Yeah.
Brian, what you're talking about is the first impression. So, like, do y'all think that the first impression, how does the first impression play into building customer loyalty? Joe, I think you're kind of big about this. Like,
It's a major thing, because I don't think you all have seen my old office. I'll have to send you a picture one day. Our old office was the 1980s grease monkey garage. You walked in, it wasn't comfortable, it wasn't fancy, it was a nightmare. It actually, to me, for the longest time, it was an embarrassment. I did not know about how to go about fixing it. Some of the groups on Facebook, I got ripped apart for posting a picture, and it took about $15,000. I remodeled, and that was me doing the work. That was taking care of everything. I remodeled the office. The new office is a completely different feel. When you walk in, you feel welcome, you feel comfortable. I think that's a
who
big
feels
first step.
welcome and comfortable?
My customers.
And
Well, I feel a lot better too and stuff whenever my employees like it.
yeah,
So everybody gets a better feel and everything. And I've slowly been doing things in other parts of the garage to make it better. But that was a major step, because I didn't feel embarrassed when a customer came in. For the longest time, actually, COVID was a thing. Was like, hey, they drop their cars off, they pay me through text message, they never have to come in the shop if they don't need to. I welcome that, because when they came in, people would actually make a comment and stuff and everything that they like, well, this is the office. I'm like, yeah, it's the office and stuff. I mean, we didn't have waiters, so it wasn't an issue where people were waiting in the office. It was just a point where they dropped off. Now I get the comments. This is a lounge. People come in, they're like, hey, we can hang out here. I'm like, well, if you need to, yeah, you can hang out here. We have no problem. And I feel, yes, the first impressions make a big difference. If it wasn't for the fact that they knew that we did a great job from word of mouth to people, I don't think we would still be in business and stuff. Because for the longest time, it took me years to get to the point where I made the decision myself, fighting with my dad, because he's the classic 1970, 1980 mechanic that I fix the car. That's all that matters. I'm like, no, it does not. So yeah, first impressions are a big thing.
and that might have been the case, right, back in that time. But here we are today, and people expect more. And your story just reminded me, I know you listen to all our podcasts, you probably have heard us talk about this. Our first job, I was pregnant. I was sitting at the desk, and we focused primarily at that time just on Mercedes-Benz. Brian was a Mercedes Master Tech, and that was our specialty. So you think of the clients that are coming in, and this place was a dump in every possible way that you can imagine. It was our
It's
start,
terrible.
but it was a dump. And here I was pregnant. I had chiggers from the carpet. Like my legs were covered in chigger bites, and there were critters that I don't know what they are. And it definitely had the rubber smell and all that kind of stuff. Brian, what was that building before?
It was an old radiator shop,
Yeah.
Ooh.
and radiator shops are terrible. Like the chemicals they use are caustic, and I mean it was just bad. It was bad. You would have
Brian knew, and we weren't there long. We were only there, I think, not even a year, just right at a year. But yeah, I mean, I remember people walking in, like you were just saying, going, and when we're talking about trying to have a shop that's based on relationships where people are comfortable coming back. Our clients, now, we didn't have a problem with that because they loved Brian. They trusted Brian. But certainly there were some who were like, what is this place, this dungeon? So, yeah, it's...
I agree 100%. Like I said, I mean, if it wouldn't be for us having the longevity and people knowing us, there have been no way. I mean, even I would have probably never came back to the shop again, but that's what saved me and gave me the time to start making corrections.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when you are doing those kinds of things and you're being super intentional, you're making changes, that is going to have a ripple effect out into the community. People are going to talk about changes and what's happening and what's going on. What about the community? How are you? We're kind of leaning into how you two guys are working together and what you're doing. But community plays, I think, a part in that too. What you're doing for the community, how you're supporting the community. What do you want to say about that?
Do you mind if I just want to go back 1 second about this first impression thing, because I never want to, this loyalty rewards program idea that we came up with years ago. This was really born of shop owners and watching how they worked and what. I've been to thousands of shops, right? I mean, I've been in the automotive business since 1993, and you guys have been in thousands of shops, right? And Joe, you visited all these different shops. It's about this first impression is incredibly important, and the DNA of any one shop can resonate. Even a shop that's not tidy and welcoming, it's still going to have a DNA that resonates with a number of people. But is it enough, to sustain that business? So that's where you make your adjustments. But what I discovered is when a person leaves the shop, that last interaction, just as they're leaving, this is where the little kind of the gold that I tried to harvest, or mine was. So when you say thank you for coming in, and you give people your unique selling points, doesn't have to be my loyalty program. That's why I teach people how to build their own loyalty program, and people have been doing it for years. You can have rewards dollars or certificates. You can talk about your warranty, talk about all the benefits of coming to your shop, the roadside that you already have through Napa and CarQuest. Just let them leave with something special. And all the consulting companies have taught that. Give them one thing for free, highlight something special that you did for them, so that you kind of put them in a bear hug. So that I just think that when I watch advisors finish the transaction, it's that moment where it's like, I think they call it a denouement in a movie. There's like a little piece of the movie still has to go on. You think the movie's over, you've got to thank the customer and give them that little tidbit, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, where they walk out and they're not thinking about the bill. They're thinking about that little kindness, that little extra that they got on the way out the door. So you can build all these things yourself. It just depends how much you want to, track and do all that. But it's that last interaction I find crucial.
And we call that lanyap down here in Louisiana. Something just a little extra.
Yeah.
Lanyap.
What do you call it?
Lanyap. The G is silent. LAGNIAPPE. Little lanyap.
God, it's like a different country down there.
100%. That's a fact.
Yeah.
We joke that you need a passport to get over the state line. So Yeah. Well, I love all that you're saying, because everything we're talking about comes back to the relationship, the transparency, the being present. So just continue in that conversation. I know you're doing stuff with your community, and I can't help but think that all the changes you made, Joe, in the shop got out, and word of mouth on, hey, have you seen what they're doing over there, and that sort of thing. So how do you feel that being a part of your community could have an impact on creating loyalty in that relationship?
It's one of the big ones. Actually, we've had the discussion basically of my marketing before I met you all and got into groups and stuff. Was my main marketing was taking care of little league teams and being involved in the community. That was the big thing for us, is being involved in the community. And whenever I was looking for a way to reward customers moving from discounts, Jeff's program, the main selling point to me was the charity and community involvement he thought about. No one else had that, and it just resonated with me. And basically, recently I was in the hospital for a week, and we were getting ready to do our next charity event, which would have been WHS Crusade for Children, because I'm a firefighter volunteer, and it raises local money for a children's hospital. And we weren't going to be able to get everything situated because of the hospital visit and everything to make the big run for the firefighters, who basically go on TV, and they raised $6 million in a weekend, basically doing roadblocks and everything. So it's a big thing.
Wow.
And we weren't going to be able to do that and hit the mark, which I wouldn't have been able to attend like I wanted to anyway. So Jeff came to me and said, hey, you thank the nurses on your Facebook post and everything. He goes, why not give back to the nurses? I'm like, I'm all for that, because the nurses were excellent while I was in the hospital. I mean, I had to be diagnosed in a hallway. I had a hallway bed for 12 hours. I'm 6'6". I was on a hospital gurney that was made for a 6 foot person. So, I mean,
Wow.
but that didn't
This
matter.
is in
The nurse,
America.
yeah, it did not matter, because the nurses, they apologized. They were great. They did everything they could for me. And he was like, hey, why don't we do something for them? So we were like, okay. So we rolled out a community involvement charity thing where my customers can give part of their rewards back. And as of today, we've only ran it for less than 2 weeks. We have almost $1,000 raised. Uh, I was going to, Jeff actually told me the other day, he goes, why don't we buy them lunch? I'm like, that's 3 shifts. I don't know. I mean, I don't mind giving my own pocket for them for that and stuff and everything, because I was going to go give them gift cards for coffee. Because I was like, that's a lot. But I go, this is going to be able to do the program where I'm actually giving 20% off to them if they come in and get service done as a thank you to them. Also, I'm going to be able to do coffee and probably buy them all lunch at the hospital and stuff, which is probably going to be 100 people buying lunch for, because of this. And the people see that.
Mm-hmm.
They want to come to us basically because they know we give back. I know you talked about Brian not understanding at one point in time the return on investment on little league teams and stuff. I find that like one of the biggest things to me, because yeah, they go out and they have our shirts on for little league, and then they come. The parents are like, "We want to thank you," and I didn't realize how big of an issue it was until the parents started coming in. Hey, we want to thank you for sponsoring the little league team. Our kids love it, and we do baseball, basketball, and football basically right now, and it's great. And it's mainly small businesses, basically supporting one team and everything. And it doesn't matter if the teams win or lose and stuff. The kids have a great time,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I think that reaches out to the community bigger than anything. I mean, I may not be able to measure the return on investment for it unless I ask every customer, which I try to now, but I think it reaches everybody, and it makes the community basically want to come to you and be part of that business that supports them.
I feel like I want to say that louder for the people in the back, which is support the little league teams and the things that you think you don't have an ROI on. Yeah, Brian and I joke about that now, because now he's a big advocate for it. So I want to just repeat one of the things you started out with first, which I think quite a few shops, and Jeff, this is going to come to you because you're the one that saw the moment, like seize the moment, like take advantage of the opportunity that's right in front of you. And that is, sometimes shop owners are so, and I'm going to say we, because we were in that. So our heads are in the I always script sayings, in the clouds, Brian, like
That's right.
in the forest, not seeing, seeing the trees,
Yeah.
not the forest, and we're so wrapped up with all the firefighting that we're doing and all of the jobs that we have to do that we don't have time to think creatively. And we're like, I want to do a loyalty program, but I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to get started. But you saw it. Like, you lived that world and you saw his post, and some trigger fired in your brain. You were like, this is it. Like, here's what you do. Like, how
Our
do shop
job,
owners figure that out?
I believe, we're not here to build set it and forget it programs and accumulate software as a service monthly fees. We're here to solve a real problem, a real challenge for small businesses. And if the job is to think how we can make their life better, and every shop owner that I talk to has had these ideas. But what happens with an idea is every idea has little tentacles hanging off of it. Those tentacles are task lists and things that have to get done to make it happen. So our job is to take an idea and allow that to come to fruition quickly so they can capitalize on it and free them up. You know that feeling when you have a big idea? We all have them in our own businesses, and you're like, well, how do I want to get it done right now? How do I get it done? And they don't have a mechanism. We need to give our clients the mechanism to put their heart and soul out there. Now, you don't always have to do a fundraiser to be involved in the community, but what we're trying to create and teach, it's that feeling you get when you are in your own community, walking around, shopping, saying hello to people, that feeling of belonging, and you guys read Tribe, and I'm like this huge fan of Tribe, and self-determination theory. We're trying to embed that, and this is not an economic thing. We can't look at this, if we come at it like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this many customers and I'm going to make this much money. That's not it. It's about a kinder, gentler way of going about our life that really does become the marketing easy button. It's your wildest dreams if people just knew who you were and were responding to your brand and your identity because they get you and they know that you do good work and they know that you're a good member of the community. So that's what we're teaching. And then there's ways to go about that. It doesn't have to be a loyalty rewards program. There's many shops out there, some of them listening, I'm sure. They'll say, well, I don't need a loyalty rewards program to do that. You don't. You don't. But get involved. And the most successful shops that I've ever seen, the ones that weather recessions the best, the ones that thrive and get more new customers almost effortlessly, are the ones that are just well known, not just because they're advertising, but because the community knows them.
Yeah.
And then when you do advertise, they're receptive to it because they already know you. And so I believe that this mechanism, for 20 years, the automotive industry has been trained. Shop owners are searching for CRM. Software companies are building CRM and selling, and it's a very crowded space. And I think we've moved beyond. Everybody can send out an oil change reminder. Everybody can do this. How do we connect with the reason that we do this to begin with? And how do we connect in a meaningful way with our customer base and our prospective customer base? And how do we make our employees happier employees and ourselves feel fulfilled in our daily work? That's what this whole experiment is about. And so we don't ever come to a point where we have a finished product. This is all of us collaborating about what works for Joe representing everyone that's listening, to make it easier for him to do what he loves in his daily work and not have to struggle with this whole attraction of customers and spending way too much doing it.
Well, I can't help but think that that's what busy shop owners are looking for. Is I love that you said the easy button, right? Make it easy for them to be able to implement something. I want to just dig in a little bit to the logistics because I feel like shop owners that are listening have questions popping up. Like, well, wait, how did this happen? How did this happen? So you saw an opportunity with it was Joe's personal experience that he had just had, and you're like, let's use that. But I know some of the stories. I remember hearing you share some at the Mars conference. I know Brian Bates is using your program highly successfully, building great a loyal customer base. Remember the AJ Neely story?
Yeah.
And then I can't help but think that there's opportunities here for just seeing the moment and seizing it and taking advantage of I don't mean taking advantage of it in a bad way, but using the opportunities that are presented. There was somebody recently, a shop owner whose technician was diagnosed with cancer or something terrible, and they used their shop community to support the technician. So,
Yeah.
it, like you said, it doesn't have to be fundraisers, but there's other ways to do it. Can you share some of the like logistics of how does this happen? Somebody's probably wondering, wait, the clients were giving to this, like how, we
Yeah.
haven't talked about the points and, share just logistically, unpack what that looks like.
So we have a couple of tools that we deploy and that are getting better at keeping an eye on current events in the community for around our shops, things that are going on. And we also train the shop owners to start thinking, if they have an idea, something they want to be involved with, just tell us. So we have built, from a technology standpoint, we can take an idea like this nurse's idea. We have a team of designers on staff, and we always operate and deploy with graphics. So our texting is a graph. We use graphics, not just words, because they can see what's going on. And we can spool up from idea to creation of the graphic to the sending in a matter of minutes. So we've gotten very good, yes, with the use of some artificial intelligence to take our templated space that we have to work with for texting and email and put some graphics in there and get it out. So for a shop owner, they can call us, they can email us, they can fill out a form. It lives in the portal then. So within Joe's portal, these graphics live. All of the charities that he may support live. For all of our clients, we're building libraries of any possible fundraiser that they might want to do. And I'm a student of this stuff now, as I dove into it. So you have different types of fundraising. You have your planned giving, things that are just near and dear to your heart that you might do twice a year. And we're not advocates of doing this all the time. So you'll build a library of things that you can run, and we build it for you. So we build all of this, and the graphics we build are repurposed they're the text message, they're the email, they're the social media post. In Joe's case, we pass that along to him, and now on to you. You're his marketing company, and so for you guys, the clients that we have in common, we send everything to you guys, and you weave it into your communications. So it's become pretty seamless. We build a library. The key is this for a shop owner, and I learned this the hard way. I think I shared with you my tagline, not to be salesy, but the tagline was going to be pit crew accomplishing very little over an extremely long period of time. You learn from everything that we try to do winds up having a laundry list of things that go along with it. You guys know this, right? You have a team of pros doing this for your shops. So we have had to make a process and automate as much as possible. So from our fundraising to our local business cross-pollinator, and these again are tools. If you look around the country, you know this, many shops will partner with small businesses around them in different ways. We have made that into a process. So we build a library of businesses that you're partnered with and cross-pollination tools to share your databases together. We do the same thing with Employee Spotlight. And this is all based on psychology. So consumers, 96% of your customers want to know that you're a good member of the community. They might not even know it, but that's part of their checklist. 88% want to know that you're a good employer. It's important to them. You can't just put your comp plan online. So what do? You edify your team. You put an employee spotlight out there. You combine it maybe with a fundraiser. People love that. It was shocking to me how much the customer base loves doing something nice for an advisor or a technician. And so again, from a process standpoint, what did I have to do? I had to do it all for the shop. There's over 200 graphics that we design now when we launch a shop.
So Jeff, when y'all do these programs,
Yeah.
The consumer ultimately kind of gets to choose what it is that they are going to what the reward is going to be for them. My understanding, anyway, they can choose
Yes.
whether it is like points or dollars that get applied to future repairs, or they can donate to these community involvement type things that you do. And I'm curious if you have like a percentage of people who actually use their rewards for themselves versus the ones who give their rewards away to some kind of a community program.
So I don't have they're evolving the community involvement piece. So we've been running this since 2009, and it's as if a year ago people finally sort of got it. It's really hard when, business coaches are always saying, what's the ROI? What's the ROI? And now I can actually show the ROI, but it's intrinsic. You feel it, right? So now that shops are feeling it, it's been growing astronomically. So most consumers are using the rewards for themselves. And you got to understand the intention behind. So doing good, you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart. It feels good. You do get a benefit from a business standpoint, but we set up guardrails. It's very important to not get, I don't want to, well, I guess say pushed around. So we'll do a fundraiser, and another company, another nonprofit will call and say, well, why didn't you do it for me? Why didn't you do it for me? Or I want to donate all of my rewards. The shop owner has to say, we plan out our giving. We want to give more and more as we're able. For this particular fundraiser, we're allowing you to donate 10%. Our goal is to have as many people as possible be able to help a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I know this just from witnessing it and some of the things that have happened in my own life. When two people do something good together, there's magic that occurs. You can't measure it, but I can measure it because I can feel it. So you want everyone in your customer base, even if they were giving away a dime, you want to do it together because now you are in a relationship, not a transaction. The things I can't control, obviously, are doing a good job at the shop and earning that trust. That's where a lot of shop owners will, and they're right. You can do all of this yourself, but you can also run a wonderful business and do all of it at the counter, and that's great. And you need to do that. You have to be able to produce the work, sell the work, do it right the first time. This is like the icing on the cake. And again, what I mean by that is it's like a giant relief to be able to have your marketing work so much better mm-hmm. for less money, because we don't throw off enough free cash flow in this industry to participate in the type of advertising that some of the chains can do, or some, in other industries, big box stores. You're not able to buy the billboards and the radio and all that. So we need to find another way. And the genesis of a lot of this, I was working for Fram Prestone Autolite. I was a manufacturer's rep. And imagine trying to, and I was selling to small little retailers, jobber stores back in those days, trying to show them how to compete on a PH8A with Walmart. You know, a $2.99 filter. Why is someone coming to your store, you know, versus going to Walmart? Well, there's an art form to building a program that resonates with your customer base, and so that's what I've tried to recreate in the automotive world.
Yeah. All right. It's
Very cool.
fascinating. Fascinating stuff. So I have one more question for you, and then I want to jump over to you, Joe, unless Brian has something he wants to throw in there. So Brian and I were just talking to a shop owner yesterday, and it's funny to us because not funny, that's not the right word, but interesting. You know, we're working with clients in, I think, 33 states in Canada. And so some are in this geographic region and they're feeling this impact on whether it's from the economy or whatever it might be, weather or whatever. And then you have these that are feeling this. But this one shop owner we were talking to yesterday, we really wanted to encourage him to intentionally do more for customer retention. And we mentioned your program to him. But I was wondering, for new customers, for you, new shops coming on, does your program, I don't know if integration is the right word, but are you connecting to their shop software so that you can, like, are the clients
Yes.
having to start from scratch with earning points, let's say, or are you looking at the history and applying points based on the last year or 2 years? Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
I
Does that
do.
make sense?
I do. Yeah, because I absolutely have to cover that every day with every presentation and every rollout. So we've kind of developed what our avatar, right, of a perfect launch is, and then you kind of figure it out with the shop. But so we're integrated with the shop management systems to various degrees with different ones. Like with TechMetric, we auto redeem right out of their system, so they don't have to do it in our system. We have a widget in Google Chrome that we put it away. We put it to bed for a little while to get people to do things a little differently, but we just reinvigorated that. But at launch, what works the best, and you have to, because I've lived in the shop environment and never owned a shop, but I've been around them long enough. You don't want to make the shop too busy, obviously. So when we go live with the shop, what we're suggesting is that we activate their account over the course of a month. So we just look at how many people are active in their database, typically over a 2-year period, and we activate 100, 150, 200 accounts per day, whatever is needed, and send those out. And we preload with whatever we decide.
Okay.
And now we can do that in a couple ways. And you can reference the customer their actual spend and do a percentage. It's usually easier just to come up with a random number, So, I usually just throw out there $24.32, and we run it that way, and we introduce the program to everybody. We get the shop used to talking about it. Every day we are able to see how it's going. Are they redeeming rewards? Because you'll see them start to redeem right away. That's probably been the biggest challenge. Always, 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 everything I've ever done in this industry is how do we get advisor engagement, because they're the busiest people on the planet, it seems like. And you have to respect that. There's no fighting it. There's no way to get around it. There's no way to tell a shop owner, just ask them to do one more thing, or suggest that they don't have proper operational control over their business. I think I've done that once before. It didn't go well. Because an A+ advisor, what are you going to do? Fire them because they won't run your rewards program? That's not smart, So we've automated it. We send out a reminder of the balance the day of. Don't forget to show your balance. And they get a report that just shows who's redeeming. So redemptions have gone quite well. Again, I think I'm answering your question on launch, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what I was what I was wondering. Thank you.
So
I think that's
you were just talking about the advisors being busy, and I'm
Yeah.
going to give a plug to the last episode that we recorded. So if you're listening to this, you should go back and listen to the previous episode where we talked to Rena Rennebaum about the service advisor's role in customer retention, and she actually. I don't want to say that she suggests, but I
she
mean,
blew your mind.
basically, she talked about the advantage of having a 1-to-1 service advisor technician ratio and the ability for that service advisor to create the relationships and to maintain the higher AROs and all of that. It was a very interesting discussion. So if
Yeah.
you're listening to this and you haven't listened to the previous episode, go back and listen to it. You might be sitting here thinking that's crazy. And
Well,
hey,
when she
maybe it
explains it,
is,
though,
but go listen.
I've
yeah,
seen that in action, and the view is pretty good from the cheap seats here. I haven't had to hire that many or any service advisors, so it's difficult to do. But I remember Wilhelm Automotive in Arizona. They had a 1-to-1 or pretty close to 1-to-1 plus an admin that handled a lot. And it's hard. We're business owners, and you always wonder when you hire someone, are you going to get 1 + 1 = 10? But if you have the systems in place correctly and you have the car count, you really can make a lot more money and make a lot happier customers by doing what you just suggested.
yeah.
Yep.
She really unpacked it in a brilliant way that it was really fascinating. Joe, you are doing, aside from what you're doing with Pit Crew, you're doing some really cool stuff at Schindler's Garage that really connects to clients. It's very thoughtful, considerate, gifting. You're doing just some great videos that are connecting with people, being transparent and open, and all your community involvement. I want you to just explain that a little bit, but talk to the shop owners who are like, whoa, okay, I haven't even thought about doing this, or maybe they did it once in the past, they just haven't tried it. Like, just share the other things that you're doing in your shop to foster and build and nurture those relationships to bring those clients back.
Well, the first thing I will say is something Jeff kind of touched on was having partners that have systems and processes. As a business owner that wears 40 different hats a day, I get bogged down in the theories. I have a great idea to do it, but trying to get the processes in place, having partners that have that, it's great. And I've got multiple partners that are taking weight off my shoulders to be able to do that. So that would be the first thing. As far as working with customers, trying to get back, some of the things we started out, and actually I picked up a lot of them in your all's group. Basically, one of the things we did that was a very inexpensive way was during Christmas time, we made little hot chocolate mixers, put a little note in there, set it in the car. I think it was $1.50 roughly for everything, for the mix, the jars, and a little bit of work. My customers loved them. I actually got one of the most outstanding reviews I've ever received. Not for the great work we did in the car, because she got a hot chocolate and everything. And I mean, it's like, okay. So that was one of the things. And then basically just kind of come up with little odds and ends to give out and everything for customers. And I know actually on one of the podcasts was you just did with the promotions of things about Chotskis and stuff. And that was one of the things that basically touched me with me because we live near a casino. And cleaning out, helped my mom and dad clean out a couple of months ago. Went through one of the things that was going through my mind, Father's Day. Barbecue sets would be a great thing to hand out and stuff. Cleaned out their attic, 16 sets unopened barbecue sets from the casino that they gave away. I'm like, okay, we're not giving those up because that's something that's going to go there. I need something that is going to touch with them. And then I was like, okay, what are some great things? And I was like, an ice scraper is nice for the winter and stuff. Actually, one of the biggest things everybody loved was the cookies that I ordered from. I actually went to all my local places because I always try to stay local. Went to all my local vendors and was like, "Can you make a cookie for me that one will be individually sealed, and two have my logo on?" the individually sealed was the big issue and stuff. So I was like, okay. So I reached out. Lola actually gave me the idea and gave me a company that to go through. Ordered them, chocolate cookies, handed them out to everybody. I had people coming in going, "Hey, can I get another cookie? You gave me 2 for my wife. I ate both of them." I'm like, "Okay, great, no problem. I've got plenty of them because I usually try to order about 100 different things because I have about 100 car counts a month. So usually, if there's something like cookies, I usually order double or triple so that when they come in, hey kids, here you go. How many people is in the family? And it's amazing what you get whenever you hand something. Hey, how many kids? When you say, "Hey, how many kids do you have again?" Well, here's 4 cookies, one for you, your wife, and then a couple for the kids. And it's a little touch like that they were like, oh, great, you're thinking about my kids and stuff like that. And I've been working through different things like around here. People love to play cards. So we're having a deck of cards made up with our logo on it to hand out for holidays, for camping trips, because every time I go to do something, we're always looking for the extra deck. So it's just little things like that. I try to stay away from tchotchkes because they get thrown in the trash. Something that people will use. And a lot of times it's not something that you even have to spend a lot of money on. One of the things I did not get to do this year was I wanted to do seed packets for Earth Day. And basically hand out to everybody. So, hey, you can plant these. They're wildflowers. They're something little handy thing to do. But I found that the biggest touch are the little personal things, not things that you buy sometimes, but something you put your thought into and stuff and everything. Um, but if I do buy something, I try to make it quality. That was something you touched on. Don't buy a cheap pen because people, you fail that cheap pen, it just reflects on you and stuff. And that's something I learned years ago. That was one of my best things I ever gave away was pens years and years ago. I think I spent $1.25 on pens at the time, and that was a lot of money then. People loved them because they were aluminum. They wrote well, and they just love things like that. So when I buy something, I'm not going for the cheapest. I'm going to buy something that basically they'll keep and they'll use and stuff and everything. And then I just kind of try to play with little ideas and stuff. One of the things that went over really well was sunglasses. They were fairly cheap, but I was like, these are just throw in the car, have an extra set because I have Oakleys, I have Maui Jims. If I'm going hiking or something, I'm probably not going to take those because my biggest fear is if I'm standing on a gorge taking a picture, if they fall off, I'm going to be ticked off. So
I always lose the good ones, and I keep the bad ones.
So yeah, basically that's one of the things that we do is I found those people are like, well, I don't need a pair of sunglasses. Says, hey, you never need an emergency set of sunglasses that basically you may need. And they're like, hey, that's a good idea. I will stick them in my car and stuff and everything. And the logo is very small on them. So it's not like it's a great branding thing that you're going to see and everything, but it was something that basically people, when you gave them an idea of why you did it, they're like, oh, that's a great idea. So, I mean, yeah, the little things I think are better than just filling up and giving things away and stuff and everything. I mean, I do a little bag for my customers on initial. When they come in, it's a pack of tissues, alcohol, or hand gel, and everything for basically going into cold season. People love that and everything. Just little things that they basically think, oh, well, I didn't think about that. I'll keep it in this car. So those little things I found have really made a difference whenever they come in, stuff and everything, and they're not expecting things. Basically, most people give them a pen or something like that, and usually, like you said, cheap pens. They usually might use it for a day or two. Gets tossed in the trash when they clean the car.
Right.
Yeah. So again, we really appreciate it. I want to say one thing about something that was discussed today. Or Kim was calling me out for how I used to not like, the idea of putting the company name on a little league shirt or something like that. And it was because, back then when I was with the coaching companies that I was with, they were all like, where's the ROI? Where's the ROI? So, that's what I was looking at. But I came to learn, over time that there are bigger things at play in this world. And yes, I'm going there a little bit with all the woo woo stuff, but the law of reciprocity is real. If you give back to your customers, they will give back to you. If you give back to your community will give back to you. I saw one of my friends posting on Facebook actually yesterday. He was talking about if you want your vendors to pay you fast, then pay your vendors fast. It's just those little things in life that the way that you do things, it tends to come back to you in the same way. So, there's a lot of bigger things at play that you may not think about, when it comes to this kind of stuff. To our listeners, thank you for listening. We hope that you will listen in again next week. We want to thank our sponsor, Repair Pal, for providing this episode. And remember, we are just one of many podcasts on the Aftermarket Radio Network. You can find the others at aftermarketradionetwork.com. We hope you'll listen in again next week. And until then, go fill those bays.